let's keep this train rolling. We'll get to some old tweets exposed. But back to the Vikings GM search specifically, and head coach to some extent, because I think they're going to have a say in this. But the biggest conundrum, aside from culture, because we hear a lot of players speaking out about the fear-based culture. I mean, that's a whole animal in itself to just sort of rebuild a more player-friendly culture. But from a strategic standpoint, the biggest challenge facing a new general manager is roster construction. The Vikings, as of right now, going into the league year, which will open up in less than 2 months, have the 4th worst cap situation. Actually, I believe it's now the 3rd worst. There's been some recalculations here on SKOR.com. The only teams that are in deeper cap hell than the Vikings are the Saints, who are $61 million over the cap going into next year.
It's remarkable.
Are they still paying Drew Brees or something? Like, what? Where's all that money
They
coming?
might be paying the piper for that contract for all I know. Yeah.
There might be some void years or something.
Yeah.
The Packers are $37 million over the cap. Now, they would tell you worth it, 13 wins in 3 straight seasons and, primed to make another deep playoff run. And then the Vikings are, according to Spotrac.com, $12.1 million over the salary cap. So you gotta find 12 somewhere just to get under the cap. But then you also need like somewhere between $6 and $10 million for your draft picks, depending on, I haven't looked at all those financials, but let's say $6 to $10 million. So just to clear room for your draft picks, you need to shave $20 million off of your current cap situation. And then if you want to actually improve the team, right, you got to go find another edge rusher, maybe another cornerback, or offensive lineman. You probably need a center, probably need a right guard, right? Like, you're probably looking at minimum another $15 to $20 million, even though there's a bunch of teams in the league right now with, like, the Chargers and the Dolphins and the Jaguars all have over $70 million in cap space before they make cuts, right, and restructures.
Yep.
Over half the league has $30+ million in cap space before they restructure anyone's contracts. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be a player at all, you probably need to shave $40+ million off your current cap situation. Mm-hmm. Have fun, new general manager. Where would you start?
Well, I'd like to subtract Kirk because I feel like it always comes back to Kirk. And clearly, if you start with Kirk, you at that point in time free up a lot of space. So I'd like to start with Kirk staying, and let's just say that.
You said subtract Kirk.
No, I'd like to subtract Kirk from the conversation. I would like to say, let's say, because we've gone down this. The Kirk solution is really simple. I mean, if Kirk's gone, you're freeing up space. But here's what I would like to do. I would like to take Kirk and put him in a different bin, the he's staying bin. And I would like it to be on the he's staying bin with that cap hit bin. Because let's just say that the new GM calls around and everyone's like, I'll give you a 5th round pick. I'll give you a 6th round pick. And the
so if you can't get anything meaningful,
can't move Kirk, but you're not going to extend Kirk. So for the Kirk stance, let's just say he stays with that cap hit. And now let's pretend that new GM saying, well, I think that we can still win here, says, but what I really have to do is find a right guard in free agency then, because I got to protect Kirk. I got to find a center, maybe. Not maybe, probably for sure.
No, you need a center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we aren't talking about draft picks. We're talking about protecting Kirk with guys with experience.
Yeah.
Who are going to be paid. So now this is a fun game because now you got to pay the piper somewhere. And I enjoy this because, this gets difficult now because now we're talking about names that are good players, familiar names, but Kirk staying is going to cost them their jobs.
But here's the thing. If you want to be and this is where the Wilf math might not add up because they want to be competitive in 2022. But if you're saying we're not going to extend Kirk, we're just not, we're done kicking the can down the road.
Yep.
Let's play this last year out. And then, obviously if we all agree that we want you back in 2023, cool. Like we can have that discussion when you're a free agent. But what you're about to do here is cut elsewhere on the roster. Like you're going to leave Kirk's $45 million cap hit and you have to find I'm going to say $40 million. I think if you want to be competitive, you have to find $40 million. I
love where you're going.
Not only to fix the flaws that currently exist,
yep,
but then you have to fix the holes that are left by the players that you're cutting.
Yep. Which means, yes.
And that's and all of this, and I'll shut up and let you do your hatchet job
I'm
here. But
enjoying this because it's a really good path to go down. It's reckless but possible.
Reckless but possible.
Oh yeah, keep painting the picture, man.
The Mackey and Judd mission statement: reckless but possible. All of this is why I want 2023 to be the real target year. Like, if we can do a little bit of a smoke and mirrors job and sneak into that 7 seed in 2022 like the Eagles did, cool, awesome. And then we can, like the Eagles got to have their cake and eat it too, right? They got draft pick compensation for Wentz. They hired a new coach. They got into a sort of a reset mode. They got to look at Jalen Hurts for a year, and maybe they learned that he's not the guy. But all while they were learning about their team and going through this transition period with a new coach, they made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They made the freaking playoffs.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying here is there's almost no way, unless you trade Kirk and get lucky at quarterback somehow, that you're going to be a Super Bowl contender in 2022 with your current cap situation relative to the rest of the league. But I'm curious to see what moves GM Judd would make here.
Well, and one, I completely agree, but I feel like we've played out what we would do before, which is why it becomes fun, because we do get on Twitter the pushback of, well, I mean, the Wolves said they're going to be, I believe the words were, super competitive. Mm-hmm. So it's fun to me to now take Kirk out of the equation, and who do I cut? Because I'm going to have to cut players that are popular and still probably successful. The obvious one, I'll just start there, Michael Pierce. Depending on when I cut him, because there is a difference between cutting a guy in March and putting a post June 1st designation on a roster move. But depending on when I cut Pierce, I am going to save between $6.5 and $8.5 million.
Okay.
So he's
let's
gone.
Let's call it 6.5 here for the sake. Or call it 7. Let's call it 7.
He's gone for sure.
Okay.
All right.
So mission 40. We got to clear $40 million here.
Mission 40.
Yep.
To get under the cap, guy. To draft players. I'm Brzezinski.
And you're the math guy because I suck at math, and it's not my fault.
So we're trying to go from 12 over to even, but then we got to save, let's say, 8 to 10 for 8 for draft picks, and then another 20 some for free agents that we want. So to get a new center and stuff. All right.
Okay. I'm going to save a big chunk of change, and I don't even like this move, but this guy's been hurt for 2 years, and I have to make a decision on him. Danielle Hunter.
Oh my gosh.
He is due an $18 million roster bonus in March. If he's
you can save 18 then.
If he's traded or released with the post June 1 designation, I can save $20 million in cap space.
Okay.
That's a huge chunk of change, right?
It is, but now you have a Hall of Fame sized hole on your defensive line.
But I was told to keep Kirk. The stands got to me. They broke into my office.
The Crusaders.
The Crusaders are in my office.
They climbed up the steps to your home.
They have breached my office.
Insurrection.
Okay. I want to go to the bunker at TCO, but I can't get there.
You can't be, and we're keeping Kirk, and you got to find 9 other players to get rid of, and then we get to complain about how the roster construction is too bad.
Security has left the building. I'm all alone here. I mean, it's March 6th, and I'm in trouble. Okay.
Oh man, this is not helping Kirk. This is not helping him in terms of building a qualified infrastructure around him.
Though. But it sort of is in Kirk's mind, because Kirk is thinking, you get guys that are effective defensively. What I want, offense. So like, I know what you're saying, Phil, but I actually think in Kirk's mind, Kirk's like, this is great because you'll make it work on defense, right?
Also, I mean, like the money that you chopped money out. You've chopped $27 million out the defense, and like it's not like the defense can get a lot worse than it was the last 2 years. So you're not running the risk of like the third best defense going down to 27th. Like that already happened 2 years ago. Yeah,
so, and if you, so. if they were also have some Spielman picks who Mike didn't play, who might be good, we don't know because Mike wouldn't play some of them. They could step in here pretty quickly.
Cam Bynum is one of their best players in limited snaps.
But I mean, like what if? And I have no clue here. Okay, but let's just say that Chaz Surratt is decent.
Yeah, we have no idea.
But we just don't know. He was held hostage.
Yeah,
he was in the basement.
Yeah,
so we have no clue. Eric Kendricks. Post June 1st departure for him would save you $9.5 million.
Okay, but here's the problem. Okay, you're doing post June 1st for all these guys.
I'm dating it post June 1st.
That doesn't help you in free agency in March, right? I mean, you can't designate a post June 1st. Hey guys, so we're gonna release Eric Kendricks in 3 months,
which is why Kirk probably has to go. But I'm just having fun here. Okay. I'm being threatened. Why are you stopping me? Yes, that's a problem.
I think there's some of these that we'd have to look that you could release them before the league year or like right around the league year and maybe not save as much but save some too.
You could
then you could get some free agents.
Yes. The problem is this. So the two guys that you don't want to let go but you actually could are a bigger problem if you don't get the post June 1 designation on them. Harrison Smith would actually take you would have more in dead cap space on him than you would save against the cap if you released him in March or traded him. So he is a $7.7 million hit in March, and you save 5.8.
On Danielle Hunter, real quick, I do not want to cut bait on him. He's so good. I know he's had 2 injuries. What I would look to do is, listen, man, so his cap hit right now because of that roster bonus is like $26 million. His cap hit's higher than some current franchise quarterbacks.
Yep.
And I would say, listen, last year was supposed to be kind of a prove it contract year. You got hosed because you got hurt. Let's run it back. Let's lower the cap hit, push some money into a roster bonus in 2023 as sort of a checkpoint again. And then, so we'll make sure that you get something in 2022, but let's lower that cap hit from $26 million down to 16 or 17 or something, so we can have 10 million to play with. I would probably approach it that way.
And I think at least the 3 guys that you're going to have to get their cap hits down are Hunter, Harrison Smith, Thielen.
Yeah, Thielen's the third highest paid, $17 million.
You have
right
to.
Now. Yeah. So it's amazing. A new GM's going to walk in here and say, all right, let's open up the books here real quick. Okay, let's just look at the highest paid players relative to the cap and see where we're at. Oh, okay. Kirk Cousins. That's like the 3rd biggest cap hit in NFL history. He's a 34-year-old, slightly above average starting quarterback. Ooh, Danielle Hunter's number 2 on here, and he has had 2 season-ending injuries the last
7 games in 2 years.
Adam Thielen, Eric Kendricks, and Harrison Smith are next. All of them are over the age of 30, and 2 of them are over the age of 32, I believe.
Right.
And then 6th on the list is a running back. So like a new GM is going to come in and be like, ooh.
Well, and Cook is, and I don't want to get rid of Cook, but you've got to look long and hard at that contract. All of this is me trying to, in an obnoxious way as possible, say that Kirk I don't know how you keep Kirk. You like that? I just don't know, and I don't think a new GM and coach are going to extend him.
Yeah.
So because I've seen this now. Well, just play Kirk out. I mean, he's got that year left. But in trying to do that, I just painted a scenario that is a huge problem.
And it's not like there's 10 contracts to tap into here.
Correct.
If you don't tap into his contract, then you have to tap into Vikings Ring of Honor players.
Correct.
Like Kendricks, Thielen, and even that, there's not enough money in those. So you just laid out Hunter, Pierce, Kendricks, if you take advantage of a post-June 1st designation, which doesn't help you in this March's free agency period.
Yes.
So, we can do the rest of this on a different episode because I think there's another scenario where, all right, let's all swallow hard here.
Fold the franchise.
Fold the franchise. Move the franchise to Montreal.
We're just done.
Where, okay, I know this is going to be hard to hear for the Cousins Crusaders, but let's say goodbye and let's say you get a second or third round pick back for him or something, right? I actually think there's a chance you could get a first round pick for him because there's going to be enough teams that are looking to.
I agree.
The Colts are going to look desperately to upgrade their quarterback situation.
Pittsburgh.
The Broncos, Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yeah, there's teams out there. The Saints. But let's say it's even like a second or third round pick, and you save $35 million to the cap, and you tap some of these other contracts a little bit here and there. Would you rather have a world where whether it's a 1-year deal or a smoothed out extension, but he's still taking up a huge percentage of your salary cap? Or would you rather hit the reset button on that position, save $35 million in cap space, and maybe we can get, by tapping some of these other contracts, I think there's a way to get $40 million under the salary cap, maybe more, if you say goodbye to Kirk. And then you go into bridge mode. Maybe not Bridgewater mode, because I know that's going to be hot button.
Be careful what you say, because that'll surface on Twitter in a half hour.
But you go bridge mode with a Mariota or somebody, a guy that's not going to be a franchise starter, but it's Mond, Mariota, maybe you draft somebody. So you get worse at that position, but you get $40 or $50 million to spend in free agency.
Yes.
And you get some draft pick compensation in your trade of Kirk. Can your team be better than 7 or 8 wins in 2022 and better equipped 2023 to really take a step forward? That is the path that I am the most interested in.
And it's the 1,000% correct path. I'm with you. I'm just saying if you come up with the solution being, well, we'll keep Kirk on that contract, you have painted yourself into such a corner. And I also urge, though, for your point about the fact that Philly made the playoffs, I also urge people to keep in mind, did they really? Did they do you want that?
None of that. I'm done with your 7 seed.
Is that
anti-7 seed propaganda?
I'm trying to help you out for 22, though. I'm saying I've got your back here. What I'm saying is, oh man, Philly. You see what can happen if Kirk stays? Did they really make the playoffs?
I mean, you might clown me for this, but I think being able to feel they got trounced in the playoffs, but I
don't think that one helps.
That team, I disagree. That team leaves the season thinking, wow, we did some damage, and I know that they didn't beat a winning team all year. So, but in that locker room and with that coaching staff, they feel good about that season, and now they feel like they're in a great spot for 2022.
I feel worse about that team. I think they're going to go downhill from here, not uphill. I think
really,
I don't like them that much. I really don't. I think it's going to blow up. But my point is that, look, I'm with you. I've got your back here, Phil.
Okay.
I want the Vikings. I think
quit stabbing it.
I think you're just because you went back to the football buffet 8 times and piled on the cheeses and saw this stuff. It's not that good, but man, there's so much free food. Okay, just because you went back to the football buffet doesn't mean that you got a quality meal. But I'm with you in the fact that I think that you should be looking squarely at 23 and not trying to be bad, but you do have to reshape this team. And I really believe that from the exercise we just went through, the only way to truly reshape this team is to trim off a contract that is probably the easiest one to trim from.
Yes.
And last thing before we get tweets, all right, you'll need to find a trade partner for Kirk where Kirk will agree to stay and extend. So we're not saying, well, just transfer that contract to the Saints, who are massively in trouble. What we're saying is, you give Kirk a fresh start, and Kirk signs a 3-year extension in Pittsburgh or Denver or with the Saints. That's fine. But we're not suggesting that contract be traded in whole, and then that team just says, oh, great, we've got a huge cap hit. Of course, we love that. We're not suggesting that.
Yeah, no, there would be an extension of some
I just know that now we're going to get 3 notes every time.
That's fine.
Let's say you guys are morons.
I love
I'm totally okay with that.
I love the notes. Feedback Friday is coming up tomorrow.
I like the notes too. I'm just saying, we know what we're doing here. We're professionals, damn it.
Yes, I'm a people person. Why can't you people see that? Federated's here to help business owners. They've been around, and I don't know if they can help the Vikings at this point. They're kind of on their own trying to find a new GM and coach. But for many businesses out there, they are all about frontline risk management and protection. And you can tap into all sorts of resources at federatedinsurance.com, like MyShield, for instance. Check them out. They've been around for over 100 years, based in Owatonna. Federatedinsurance.com, or download the app. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. All right, every Thursday, we also go back into the Twitter archives, and Declan digs up dirt on us. It's called Old Tweets Exposed.
All right, we're going to start with, you guys are actually combined in one clip. You guys are, this might be a first time for old takes/tweets exposed. I did a little Twitter search, and I found, actually, I'm 100% sure, actually, I made this little audiogram about 4 years ago. It's December of 2018, and you guys are painting a picture for the Vikings. And let's just play the clip.
What happens if for 1 month, or in this case, let's call it 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is, couldn't you see this team knocking off a couple good teams in the NFC? I know you're going to say no.
No, keep going. Keep going. I'll tell you what I can see.
But I think, so this team absolutely shut down Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson 2 of the last 3 weeks. This defense is almost completely back to where it was last year in the passing game. It's back to being the 4th best defense in the league, yards per play, even after the terrible start to the year, all these things. And if switching out the offensive coordinator flips a light switch on, and all of a sudden Adam Thielen's unstoppable again, and Kirk Cousins is insulated the way he should be, things change pretty quick for this team. It's not likely, but I still think this team can win the Super Bowl.
All right. I'm not going to completely buzzkill what you said because of this. Chip and I were talking off the air in the 3 o'clock, and Chip brought up a really good point, and I completely agree and could see this happening, not easily, but I could certainly see it. The Vikings are going to make the playoffs. I believe that. The rest of the conference below them is just a mess. And I think they're going to win on Sunday. I think they're going to win enough in the final 3 games that they're going to make it, and it's not even going to be a huge sweat to make it. And as Chip said, and I really can see this happening, is if they match up against Chicago, it would not take an act of God to go to Chicago, Soldier Field, and win. They don't win there much, and Chicago's defense is really good, but couldn't you see a really well-orchestrated offensive game plan where where they basically put kid gloves and handle Kirk, and so Kirk plays well, but he doesn't have to be phenomenal. But more importantly, Trubisky completely melts down. So Trubisky throws like 3 picks, 1 for a pick 6, and you win 21-7 or something.
Yeah.
The fly in the ointment to the Super Bowl is I don't think you can go to New Orleans and win. Like, if you have to play the Saints there, I think you're dead. I don't think Kirk, I think ultimately what you're going to find is, unfortunately, that this might be true for 3 years. I think when the game gets absolutely huge, I don't know that Kirk can win. I just don't. Now, I've seen enough now to question that. But if you want to go down a path where the Vikings make the playoffs, which I think that they will, and win a game, or possibly a second game if they played the right team, I could see it.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. Did you tell us what year that was from?
Yeah, December of 2018. So going in to that was obviously when the Vikings got bounced by the B squad of the Bears in the last week of the season. They didn't even end up making the playoffs. You guys are painting a picture to possibly still win and potentially make a run to the Super Bowl. That team didn't even make the postseason. A lot to take away.
So this clip was with 3 weeks left. And the Vikings had just lost a couple games in a row. They were 6-6. They won their next 2 games to get to they were 6-6-1 to get to 8-6-1.
Yep.
And then they play the Bears, a B squad. The Bears were 12-4 that year, but the Bears had already won the division. But to me the most damning thing in all of that was Judd saying that his biggest concern was going into New Orleans. They did the exact thing the next year, and they beat the Saints.
But what did I say about Kirk?
That part is accurate.
From that game held true. I said in the first year, I said I don't think that he can consistently win big games. I choose to see this as one of my greatest accomplishments. Old tweets praised is what I'm going to call it.
I mean, ultimately, I did say that I thought that 2018 Vikings team could win the Super Bowl, and they didn't even make the playoffs.
It was really bad for a while, but then I think it really picked up.
I
said first of 3 years. I don't think this guy can do it.
Okay, all right, that's
Tough
pretty interesting. Oh, a little
that was
3.5 year flashback there.
That's good find.
Mackey and Judd.
So actually, for mine, I'm gonna replay an old take that I think I've actually shared on this platform before, but it's more relevant because of the stipulations that's at play for the current Vikings team and also for this team this weekend.
Taking that seriously at all. I really don't.
I love it.
This is one of 3 or 4 games of the schedule that should be an absolute gimme. I know the Vikings are still favored and they're on the road, and I put them write that down that they'd win by 10. Yeah, I expect the Vikings to win by 10 in this game. I like Joe Burrow's future. I think he's going to be a damn good quarterback when it's all said and done, when he hangs it up. But right now, the Bengals are an absolute mess. Vikings are going to feast on Cincinnati. No, I do not take the Bengals seriously at all.
Whoops.
I remember that well.
Whoops.
Yeah, I think Declan wins. Just completely out on the Bengals.
Oh, I remember.
They won their division.
Season
Joe
hadn't even
Burrow is one of the
started.
5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Man, I got clowned before the season started for putting out my annual quarterback ranking list, and I put Joe Burrow in the top 10 and not Kirk Cousins. Man, people.
we con you, or-
No, the Cousins Crusaders.
Yeah.
Watch Joe Burrow. It's like, do you guys watch other?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Do you guys not watch football? Not you guys, but like the Cousins Crusaders. You really? By the way, did you see some of the throws Josh Allen was making in that game over the weekend? Like sprinting out to his right, one leg, 40-yard dimes down the field. I mean, come on.
How did he get his accuracy so refined?
And it's not fully refined?
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
so
But
much
it is
more refined than it was.
But it's really refined.
Well, it'd be nice to maybe bring Brian Dable in and find out. How did Josh
I
Allen
don't
get
have time for
developed?
Brian Dable.
Become more accurate. So, all right. Well, congratulations to Declan for winning Old Tweets Exposed.
Way to go, Dex. Nice finds, though. Good work.
Amazing.
Executive producer doing executive producer things.
If you're watching Mackie and Judd on the SKOR North YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button and the like button so we can help spread the word about this show and this Minnesota sports community, if you will, to other damaged Minnesota sports fans. Feedback Friday tomorrow. You can always hit us up with your questions, comments, critiques, concerns through the SKOR North app. There's a feedback tab at the bottom. You can also always hit us up in the comment section on these YouTube episodes. So, all right, the Vikings GM and coaching search continues. Reckless speculation Thursday. I think we got our fix today. It's good. We'll see you guys tomorrow.